March 12th, 2026. Northern Persian Gulf, Iraqi territorial waters. The crew of the Safe Sea Vishnu didn't see it coming. A small boat, low profile, cutting across the water at high speed. No flag, no markings. Just an unmanned surface vehicle loaded with explosives racing toward their hull. The impact was immediate. A massive explosion ripped through the starboard side of the ship. Flames erupted across the deck. Thick, black smoke poured into the sky. One crew member lost. 38 rescued by Iraqi port authorities. The ship, the US-owned crude oil tanker heading to India, now sits crippled in Iraqi waters. But here's the problem. This wasn't a US military vessel. It wasn't an Israeli ship. It wasn't even heading to the United States. It was a commercial tanker bound for India, a neutral country that has maintained diplomatic relations with Iran for decades. And it's not the only one. Since February 28th, Iran has attacked 18 vessels transiting the Strait of Hormuz. 6 of those attacks happened in less than 48 hours. But instead of hitting American or Israeli targets, Iran is striking ships flagged by Thailand, Malta, the Marshall Islands, countries that have nothing to do with this war. Iran just made the biggest strategic mistake of the entire conflict, and it's about to cost them everything. Iran's stated goal was clear. Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei vowed to block the Strait of Hormuz and pledged that not a single liter of oil heading to the US, Israel, or their partners would pass through. It's a bold threat. The strait is 21 miles wide at its narrowest point, and 20% of the world's oil, around 20 million barrels per day, normally transits through it. Close the strait, and you choke global energy markets. Prices spike, economies stagger. The world pays attention. So Iran deployed its asymmetric arsenal. Explosive-laden drone boats disguised as wooden fishing vessels, shore-based anti-ship missiles, naval mines, small, fast craft operating along the Iranian coastline. Cameron Schell, CEO of drone technology firm Dragonfly, explained the tactic. The Iranians probably have use of radio remote control, line of sight, frequency hopping, or encrypted radio communication between the skiffs and the Hormuz shoreline. They can have one person controlling a swarm of 10 boats. These boats will be used to ram into targets and explode. It's effective. It's cheap. And it's nearly impossible to defend against when you're dealing with 50 small wooden boats scattered along a 21-mile wide choke point. But there's one critical flaw in the strategy. Iran can't control which ships get hit. And that's where the plan falls apart. On March 11th, 2 oil tankers were struck in Iraqi waters at the northern end of the Gulf. The first was the Safe Sea Vishnu, the US-owned vessel heading to India. The second was the Zephyros, a Maltese-flagged tanker. No injuries were reported on the Zephyros, but the message was sent. Iran isn't discriminating between targets. If you're in the strait, you're a target. Then there's the Mairi Nari, a Thai-flagged vessel hit while transiting the Strait of Hormuz on March 11th. The ship's owner confirmed to BBC Verify that 3 crew members are still missing, believed to be trapped in the engine room. Photos from the evacuation show damage just above the waterline near the stern, the signature of an explosive-laden surface drone striking at waterline level. Thailand isn't in this war. Thailand has no military alliance with the United States. Thailand has maintained neutral relations with Iran. Now, 3 Thai sailors are missing, possibly lost, because Iran can't aim. So what was Iran thinking? The plan was simple. Hit US and Israeli vessels. Make the strait too dangerous for their oil shipments. Force economic pain. Create leverage. But the execution? Catastrophic. Because instead of targeting military assets or ships with clear ties to the US and Israel, Iran is hitting neutral third-party vessels. And that's turning potential allies and neutral observers into active opponents. India, for example, India has been one of the few major economies maintaining trade with Iran despite sanctions. Indian refineries have been buying Iranian oil for years, providing Tehran with critical revenue. India also has a strategic partnership with Iran on the Chabahar port, which gives India access to Afghanistan and Central Asia while bypassing Pakistan. India has every reason to stay neutral in this conflict. But now an Indian-bound tanker has been attacked. 1 crew member is gone. 38 were rescued. And the Indian government is being pressured by its own citizens to respond. Thailand? Same story. Thailand has no dog in this fight. It's a Southeast Asian nation focused on trade, tourism, and regional stability. It has diplomatic relations with Iran. It buys Iranian oil. And now 3 Thai sailors are missing after an Iranian drone boat attack. Thai media is covering the story. Families are demanding answers. And the Thai government, which has been staying quiet on the US-Iran war, is now facing domestic pressure to condemn Iran's actions. Malta, the Marshall Islands, even ships transiting under flags of convenience. These aren't military targets. They're collateral damage in a campaign that's supposed to be strategic. And collateral damage has consequences. Neil Quilliam from the Chatham House think tank puts it bluntly. No ship wants to pass through there. And no insurer wants to insure those ships that are passing through there. This is the scenario that we've all been predicting for a long time. The closing of the strait, which is a nightmare. He's right. The strait is effectively closed. But not because Iran successfully targeted US and Israeli shipping. It's closed because Iran is hitting everything that moves. And here's the strategic problem. Iran needs international support, or at least international neutrality, to survive this war. China hasn't condemned US strikes. Russia issued a statement calling the killing of Ayatollah Khamenei a clinical murder, but it hasn't intervened militarily. India, Turkey, Pakistan, countries that have historically maintained relations with Iran, are all watching to see how this plays out. But the more neutral ships Iran hits, the harder it becomes for those countries to stay neutral. Take the numbers. 18 vessels attacked since February 28th. 10 of them are oil tankers, according to marine traffic data. But only a fraction of those tankers were heading to the US or Israel. The rest? India, Japan, South Korea, European nations. Countries that import oil through the strait but have no direct involvement in the war. Every attack on a neutral vessel is a diplomatic disaster for Iran. It's not just closing the strait, it's closing diplomatic doors. And the economic fallout is hitting Iran hardest. Yes, oil prices have soared, approaching $120 a barrel on March 10th, with Iranian military spokesman Ibrahim Zofkari warning that prices could hit $200. But Iran isn't benefiting from those high prices. Iran can't export oil if the strait is closed. Iranian tankers can't transit. Iranian revenue has collapsed. The regime is running on fumes, both literally and financially. Meanwhile, the International Energy Agency announced that 32 countries unanimously voted to release 400 million barrels of oil to offset the effective closure of the shipping channel. The global economy is adapting. Iran isn't. So what happens next? Iran's asymmetric strategy is working tactically, but failing strategically. Yes, the strait is closed. Yes, shipping has stopped. But Iran didn't close it by destroying US warships or Israeli vessels. It closed it by turning the entire global shipping industry against itself. Insurance companies won't cover transit. Shipping companies won't risk crews. And neutral nations that might have stayed on the sidelines are now reconsidering their positions. President Trump pledged last week to provide military escorts for oil tankers moving through the Strait of Hormuz if necessary. But experts are skeptical. Professor Basil Gehrman from Lancaster University explained, if the US intention is to escort all commercial vessels, this would require diverting many assets away from other tasks. And even if the US could provide escorts, would it work? Professor Michael Clark from King's College London asked the critical question. Even if a convoy is 90% effective, which ship owners and crew unions are prepared to play Russian roulette in one of them? That's the reality. No shipping company is going to risk a crew on a 90% survival rate. Iran knows this. That's why they're using cheap, expendable drone boats. Cameron Chell explained, these can be jammed and tracked, but when there's 50 of these boats, it's hard to try to find them all along this shoreline or to find a 20-foot wooden fishing boat that is laden with explosives. The geographic layout of the strait favors Iran's asymmetric tactics. Transit lanes are, in some places, only 3 to 4 miles from the Iranian shoreline. Flight times for drones and missiles are under 2 minutes. Ships don't have time to react. So Iran has tactical control, but it's losing the strategic war. Because every neutral ship that gets hit is another country reconsidering its relationship with Tehran. Every crew member lost is another family demanding justice. Every diplomatic protest is another crack in Iran's international support. And here's the final kicker. Iran's drone boats can't distinguish between targets. They're remote controlled or pre-programmed. They lock onto a heat signature, an AIS signal, or a GPS waypoint, and they attack. There's no human verification, no last-minute abort. Just a wooden fishing boat loaded with explosives ramming into whatever ship happens to be in the area. That's not precision. That's chaos. The Safe Sea Vishnu wasn't a military target. The Meiri Nari wasn't a threat. The Zephyros wasn't carrying weapons. They were commercial vessels doing what commercial vessels do, transiting international waters to deliver goods. Now, they're casualties of a war they weren't part of. Iran's mistake wasn't closing the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's mistake was hitting the wrong ships. And in doing so, it turned a regional conflict into a global problem. Neutral nations are now victims. Insurance companies are fleeing. Shipping routes are being rerouted. And the international community, which might have stayed on the sidelines, is now being forced to pick a side. So here's the question. Did Iran just lose the diplomatic war by winning the tactical one? They closed the strait, but at what cost? Drop your answers in the comments. This is strategy versus execution in real time. If you made it this far, hit like and subscribe. We're covering the naval tactics, the strategic miscalculations, and the global implications of this conflict as it unfolds. And if you want to support the channel, join the fleet. Loyalty badges, priority updates, exclusive analysis. Click join and get on board. Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz, but in doing so, it might have just closed the door on any remaining international support. I'll see you in the next one.